Hi, it's Susie here from Feed the Parent, the Mindful Parenting blog, and welcome to day 3 of the Calm Parent Challenge. It's so great to have you here again. Now, today's theme is connection for cooperation, not conflict. Connection is such a powerful part of mindful parenting because it is so beneficial and it really helps with those difficult times through the day with our kids. I found it transformed my parenting life when my daughter was a toddler. We used to have battles every morning where she'd refuse to change her nappy or change her clothes. Getting out the door to daycare was impossible. Everything was a struggle. And we just found that it was so unpleasant. We had to find a better way to do things. So I did my research and through trial and error discovered that connection at those difficult times was the much better way to make things go smoothly. So we started to play with her or cuddle, giggle, roll around, tell a joke at those times before we tried to change her clothes. And before we knew it, she would just change her nappy, change her clothes, and no problem, barely even noticed it. And we'd keep chatting, holding hands, and out the door to daycare. It was all so much easier. So we started to use connection in all of those difficult transition times during the day, and it worked so well. So what's happening in the brain when we use connection with our kids? So you'll recall that when our child or ourselves, when we're upset in fight-flight mode, we are in that downstairs brain. So connection helps our children get out of downstairs brain to their upstairs brain. It also releases feel-good hormones. So there are 3 types of connection that I wanted to focus on today for you to try out in the action for the next 24 hours. So the first type is daily connection. This is outlined in the workbook. Daily connection is kind of preemptive connection where you just make a habit every day or as often as you can of connecting, having quality time with your kids, playing, chatting, giggling, anything like that. You can formalize it by making it special time, especially if you have more than one child. You need to have quality time with each of them. You can say 10 minutes per day for each child is special time, and you can choose the game. I'll play whatever you want for 10 minutes, and at the end of 10 minutes you can set a timer. I'm going to go back and do what I need to do. So formalizing it like that can make them feel really special, and it can be sure that you actually do this important connection time. The second type of connection is connection for cooperation, and that's what I was talking about that I use with my daughter during transition times. So often many kids, if they're particularly spirited children like my daughter, don't find transitions easy. They don't like getting out the door or finishing what they're doing, moving to the next thing. They find that challenging and they resist. So using connection at that time can really smooth the way to help them move on to the next thing. The third type of connection is empathy connection. Now that's what we talked about yesterday. When our child's getting upset, they've got difficult, big emotions coming up, we can really support them by being there for them, connecting and helping them get through that emotion without having to block it and feeling really understood. Now, one of the mothers in the Facebook group pointed out that her son, 5-year-old son, does not like her to come close to him when he's really angry and upset and pushes her away. And that's absolutely fair enough. Kids don't always want to connect with us, so we have to connect with them on their terms to some extent and not force them to cuddle or be affectionate when they're really not in the mood. So it's using the type of connection that's going to work for the situation. So if they're very angry, it might just be that we stick around close by without getting too close and just use supportive words, keep our voice calm and soothing, and say, yes, it's fair enough that you'd feel that way. I know it's very hard, it's unfair, things like that. So finding the right sort of connection for the moment is really powerful. The last thing I wanted to talk about was why we don't use anger or threats or punishment when we want our kids to do what we ask, but instead we use connection. So when our child is upset or angry, they're in their downstairs brain, of course. And if we start to yell or threaten them, they have a fear response, and that pushes them further into their downstairs brain. They cry louder, they scream, they get more upset, and they can't listen and do what we ask. Things escalate, as I'm sure you've experienced. So we need to use connection to calm them down so they can listen to us. Now, I know it's frustrating. They don't always do what we say, even if we're using all the connection in the world. This is not foolproof, but over time, this is a much more powerful way to parent because it builds trust. They become more and more secure with us as their parent, and they're not worried or fearful that we might explode at any time. They listen to us because they love us and they want to please us. So this is a much better foundation for bringing up happy kids who trust you and want to please you. So the action for today is about connecting with our kids more, of course. Now, I'd like you to choose one of the 3 types of connection that I outlined earlier, perhaps an area where you feel you could benefit with your kids of building your relationship, your connection at that time. And write down in the worksheet, in the workbook, when and where and how you're going to connect with your child or children at that time. And then give it a go in the next 24 hours. I'd love to hear how you go. Any questions or comments, pop them under the video in the Facebook group and I'll be in there. And otherwise, I will see you tomorrow for day 4 of the challenge, which is about creating the conditions for calm in your home. See you then. Bye.